Imagine waking up 30 days from now, not just dreaming of wealth, but living it. What if I told you that becoming a millionaire isn't about luck, hustle, or even having money to start with, but about mastering the creative power of your own mind? Neville Goddard, one of the greatest spiritual teachers of the 20th century, taught us that imagination creates reality. He wasn't speaking metaphorically, he meant it literally. Your inner world is the blueprint of your outer life. Today I'm going to show you how you can apply Neville's timeless principles, like living in the end, assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and understanding the law of consciousness, to transform your financial reality in just 30 days. Not with hype, not with get-rich-quick schemes, but by changing the only thing that truly creates your world, your state of consciousness. Are you ready to reprogram your mind, step into the identity of a millionaire, and let your outer world reflect the wealth you've already claimed within? Neville Goddard's principle of assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled is one of the most powerful mental tools available to anyone seeking transformation, especially in the realm of wealth creation. This concept is not about mere positive thinking or blind optimism. It is about stepping into a new identity, a new state of consciousness, and embodying it so completely that your outer reality begins to shift in response. The external world, as Neville taught, is nothing more than a reflection of the inner world. Therefore, to become a millionaire or to achieve any desire, one must first feel as though that reality is already true. The feeling of the wish fulfilled is not about hoping or wishing for something to happen. It is about assuming the emotional state of someone who has already received what they desire. In other words, if you wish to become a millionaire, you must feel right now as if you already are one. You must bypass the logic that says, but I don't have $1 million, and instead shift into the emotional and mental state of a person who already possesses that wealth. This is not delusion, it is creation. This practice is grounded in the law of consciousness, which states that your reality is a mirror of your dominant thoughts and feelings. Most people think from their current reality. They look at their bank account, see a small number, and continue to think thoughts of lack, scarcity, and limitation. As a result, they stay trapped in that same financial state. But Neville taught that the secret is to think from the end, not of the end. That means instead of thinking about being rich, you think from the state of already being rich. By the way, when you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you reprogram your subconscious mind, which is the creative power behind all manifestation. To assume the feeling, you must immerse yourself in imagination. Imagination is not child's play. It is divine power. Neville believed that imagination was God in action, and what you imagine with feeling becomes fact. So when you imagine yourself living in the experience of wealth, you must feel it as real, just as you would if it were happening in the physical world. You close your eyes and imagine the conversations you would have as a millionaire, the emotions you would feel, the environment you would be in. What car would you drive? What house would you live in? Who would you speak to, and what would you say? And most importantly, how would you feel? The feeling is the key. It is not enough to imagine visually. You must add emotional texture. If you imagine having $1 million but feel doubt, fear, or disbelief, then that is what you are truly affirming. But if you can create a scene that feels so vivid and real that it excites you, relaxes you, or fills you with confidence, then you are impressing the subconscious mind with the reality of that experience. And the subconscious will respond by orchestrating events, people, and circumstances to bring it into being. Consistency is crucial. You can't assume the feeling for 5 minutes and then spend the rest of your day worrying about money. That cancels out the assumption. Your task is to remain faithful to the new state of being. This doesn't mean forcing it or pretending. It means gently returning over and over to that inner state where you feel aligned with your goal. Over time, this feeling becomes your natural state. And when that happens, manifestation becomes inevitable. Another important aspect of this teaching is detachment from how it will happen. The how is not your concern. Our job is to assume the feeling of being wealthy, not to figure out how it will come to pass. This is often where people trip up. They get stuck trying to control the process, doubting whether it's realistic and questioning whether they're doing it right. But when you truly live in the end, when you feel as though your desire is already fulfilled, you stop needing to know the steps. You trust the law. You trust that your inner assumption must manifest because it is law. Living from this place requires discipline of the mind. You must train yourself to feel rich before any external evidence appears. This is where most people give up. They want proof before belief. But Neville reversed the equation. Belief comes first and the proof follows. Assume it now and let the world catch up. Living from the end, not toward it, is one of Neville Goddard's most profound teachings and the cornerstone of conscious manifestation. It means embodying the version of yourself who already has what you desire, rather than constantly striving and hoping to attain it in the future. When you live from the end, you shift your identity, your beliefs, your emotional state, and your thoughts to align with the reality of the fulfilled desire. This approach bypasses the limitations of time, logic, and current circumstances, allowing you to step into the version of reality you wish to experience. Most people live in a perpetual state of wanting. They wish to be wealthy, they wish to be free, they wish to be successful. But wishing keeps the object of their desire distant, always out of reach. Neville taught that the only way to truly change your life is to move mentally and emotionally into the state of the wish fulfilled and to live from that state every single day. When you live from the end, you are no longer trying to become something, you are being it now. To become a millionaire, then, you must mentally and emotionally place yourself in the life of a millionaire. You no longer think about becoming wealthy as something in the future. Instead, you ask yourself, if I were already a millionaire, how would I think, feel, and act today? You begin to adopt those thoughts and behaviors as if your desire is already a fact. This is not fantasy or pretending. It is an act of faith in the creative power of consciousness. When you change your inner state, your outer world reorganizes to reflect that change. Neville emphasized that consciousness is the only reality. Everything in your life, the money you have, the relationships, the opportunities, is a reflection of your state of consciousness. Therefore, changing your consciousness is not just a mental exercise, it is the act of creation itself. Living from the end is how you imprint a new reality on the subconscious mind, which then brings it into physical form. Your inner assumptions create your world. When you live from the end, you begin to respond to life differently. You no longer react to circumstances from a place of fear or doubt. Instead, you respond with confidence and calm, because in your mind, the outcome is already secured. You begin to make decisions from the standpoint of someone who has already succeeded. You walk, speak, and think with the assurance of someone who knows the future is already written. This inner stance creates a magnetic energy. People begin to treat you differently. Opportunities appear, seemingly out of nowhere. You become aligned with the version of life that matches your inner state. This is not magic. It is the law of assumption in action. Your reality shifts to match the state you persist in. Living from the end ensures that your focus stays on the outcome, not the obstacles. One of the keys to successfully living from the end is the use of imagination. Neville taught that imagination is the creative faculty of God within us. By imagining a scene that implies the fulfillment of your desire and feeling it to be real, you begin to occupy that state in consciousness. The scene might be something simple: a congratulatory handshake, a look at your bank statement, a conversation with a loved one. What matters is that the scene implies the end result, and you feel it as though it's happening now. Another essential component is emotional fidelity. You must remain emotionally loyal to the state of the fulfilled desire. This means not allowing yourself to slip back into doubt, frustration, or fear. When negative thoughts arise, you gently return to the end, reaffirming your identity as the one who already has what they want. This inner discipline is what separates those who manifest consciously from those who remain stuck in cycles of struggle. Living from the end also means surrendering the need for constant external validation. You no longer look outside of yourself for proof. You don't wait for the money to arrive before you feel wealthy. You don't wait for success before you feel confident. Instead, you bring those feelings into the now, trusting that the external world will reflect them in due time. This is the power of faith, not blind belief, but a deep inner knowing that the end is already accomplished. This principle challenges conventional thinking. Society teaches us to work hard, plan ahead, and slowly build toward our goals. Neville turns that idea on its head by saying that the end must be assumed now. Once the end is assumed, the means by which it comes to pass will unfold naturally. You may be inspired to take action, or you may find yourself guided in unexpected ways, but all of it stems from the decision to dwell in the feeling of the wish already fulfilled.